Hey everybody, Joseph Klosick with Saltmarsh Properties at Keller Williams here. I hope you're doing great, and I really appreciate you jumping on today's video. What we've done is we've created a series of videos for consumers in the Greater Charleston area who are looking at selling a home. And in today's video, we're going to cover a specific part of that transaction, which is the residential property condition disclosure statement. Now, this is a very technical document that, quite frankly, in real estate school, as well as many attorneys will tell us, is we should stay away from as real estate agents. This really is a document that should be handed to you for you to fill out. But I do want to cover some certain areas of it that would be important for you. The first thing I want to cover before I jump into the document is the importance of filling this document out, because in the state of South Carolina, it is actually required by law that any residential property that does transact, basically changing hands, does require a property condition disclosure statement. Now, there are a couple of exceptions, and if you have any questions about those, we can let you know. But 95% of the time, real estate that's transacted in the state of South Carolina will require one of these documents. So if someone asks you to fill it out and tells you that it's being required, unless you have a legal exception, they're not trying to pull one over on you or anything like that. So it's just important to understand that. But let's jump into this, and I'll just kind of tell you the format of the document and a couple key points. So when you get the document, there's a lot of disclaimers on the first page, but basically what this tells you is that you as the owner should answer this document basically fully, honestly, and basically filling in all the blanks that you can, and doing this is with as much information as you do. Now, this does not call you to go out and inspect the property and try to find answers to these questions, right? It is based on the information that you know. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. And so once you fill this out, there are basically three options when you get to the next page, right? The next page basically will say this. It's going to have different opportunities or different areas of the house. So this first part, water supply, sanitary sewage disposal system. And then it's going to simply say water supply. And then what you're to do over here is you're to basically answer the question, is there an issue with this part of the house? And there are only three ways to answer this. Yes, there is an issue. No, there is not an issue. Or no representation. No representation meaning that you truly do not know. Okay, so again, based on what you know of the house, yes, you know of an issue. No, you do not know of an issue. And no representation would mean you truly don't know. Now, going back up to the first page where it says, by answering no representation on this disclosure statement, you're basically saying that you do not have current knowledge necessary to answer the question, either yes or no. You do have a duty to disclose information that is known at the time of the disclosure statement. So no representation should not be selected if you simply wish to not disclose. And that's the important part to have there. So no representation basically tells you, hey, I honestly do not know on this, and that you're not then called by law or anything like that to go find the answer. You either do or do not. But it's important to know that no representation does not mean you know and you just simply don't want to disclose. So that's an important part. And then following the rest of the document, once you go down to the bottom of the document, if you do answer yes for any of these, it does give you some blanks to fill in what the description of that may be, right? And those blanks will come in either later in that question, or then at the end, you do have some blanks at the very bottom where you can fill in any additional information where you filled out yes. So it's important to fill this out as thoroughly as possible, but also understand that you're not an inspector, right? You're not an appraiser or a surveyor where you go out and look these up. This is just based on your knowledge of the property as you fill it out. So maybe an intimidating document, but here's the deal. At the end of the day, if you do think there's an issue, or if you know of an issue, disclose it, explain it, right? We have this all the time. A lot of times we'll get questions as agents to say, hey, the sink leaked at one point in time and went on, we had some repairs done or anything like that. Our honest answer to you on that is to consult with your attorney whether or not to disclose it. But what I have found a lot of times is disclosing what happened and then explaining how it was remedied definitely helps you in this, because the last thing that you want on this is for, innocently, you don't disclose something on there because you simply didn't know or you didn't think it was worth disclosing, and then come to find out after the buyer moves into the house that there was an issue there that you knew about. So again, I know it's a shorter video on this, but I wanted to cover the key points on it. Is A, that it is more than likely going to be required for you in selling your house on the transaction. One exception could be is that the buyer is okay with you not filling it out. So if they're fine with that, it's not the hill that you're going to die on. And then B, that when you do fill it out, the no representation simply means you do not know. It's not saying that you know and are choosing not to disclose. So if you have any more questions about that, please don't hesitate to reach out with questions about this or anything else you may need in the home selling process. Have a great day.